Hey guys, thanks for joining us for another episode of Hooked on Diesel. I, of course, am your host, Paul Wilson, and today I am joined by Charles Poosch. Charles, how the hell are you?
I'm doing just fine, sir. Good to catch up with you.
Absolutely. Charles, we've got to run into each other, I think, every year at UCC that I can
Yep.
remember. We've seen each other around a few other events. Tell our listeners a little bit about how you connect to the diesel performance industry.
I it was a happy accident in a certain way. Got into announcing a long time ago, and as my career progressed and as the economy changed here in Michigan, I wound up working for a provider. I wound up working for HSP Diesel, and then after them, Dirty Hookers. So got to see it firsthand and understand the enthusiasm behind the industry that we all love. And that things changed, whatever. No hard feelings either way. I'm good friends with Joe, and obviously really good friends with Tony. Not still a part of it on the day to day, and that's okay. But yeah, I really appreciate what everybody's trying to do, and want to see it progress. The learning curve that I see, especially on the drag racing side, is straight up. I mean, just every single week, there's a new level being learned, and I don't think in anything else we can do that. The spark plug side, there's so many guys doing it and so much sharing that's going on where that's great, but the learning has already happened. The diesel side, we're doing it in real time now.
Yeah. Yeah, I like the way you phrase that. The gas world, the innovation. There's definitely some DIY innovation and things like that. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to discredit those guys, but the massive leaps and bounds are really from the OE side, right? It's the new cars
Sure.
that are coming out with new technology. On the diesel side, it kind of seems to be the opposite. The massive leaps in technology are pretty limited these days. We're all running common rail injection. We're all running high pressure pumps. We're all running, VVT turbochargers, right? It's like they've all kind of gotten fairly similar to each other, but the leaps and bounds, the huge jumps are really in the aftermarket. I mean, that's what changes the records. That's what changes the world is these guys, excuse me, these guys' ability to come in and modify things and make them totally different. Now, we see a lot of that on the drag race side where we're setting new records all the time. Is there a favorite event you have for seeing records get set? Is there somewhere that you're like, oh, every time I go here, something crazy is going to happen?
I would say no. It's so weather dependent, really. We saw that even just this past weekend. We went down to Crossville, and Blake Fitzgerald is taking over Crossville Dragway. He owns it now. It was so hot, and you couldn't get down the racetrack. So record numbers, they weren't going to happen. It was what Mother Nature was delivering to us. Um, that'll probably be the same at Beach Bend here in a month, and it's shied end of August. So I think for 2025, maybe the astonishing numbers are not going to happen now, and that's a part also of the rule changes that we had to do, and ODSS had to go to a place to be in line with NHRA as far as chassis certs, and that's all good. So it meant a lot of guys making changes to their vehicles to be legal and adapt to the new class restrictions, and that's fine. I really think 2026, especially early, like Rudy's at Rockingham, that will be the place where we're going to see numbers go stupid again. We had that in 2024. 2025 will not be the year for that, but 2026 will.
Really? Okay, now I want to cue in on this. So ODSS made some rule changes. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, really what it had to do with specifically was what we called the pro street. It was a 4,400 pound truck class, and we had guys going 170, 180 miles an hour at 4,400 pounds. I'm sorry, that's not safe. It's just not. And NHRA was like, time out. No, we're not doing this anymore. and we'll start revoking chassis certs. And they did, and that's okay. So now got together. There was a very frank discussion amongst the racers about what to do and how to handle it, and they handled it like gentlemen. I was pleased to see that. So the outcome of that was Pro Truck and then Super Diesel. Pro Truck has a soft tap on it at 470 as an ET. So if you run that or quicker in a qualifier, it's disallowed. You do that in elimination rounds, you're going to be disqualified. But we're not calling it an index class. Um, it's not fair to do that. And really, the trucks that can do it, there aren't really many that can run that fast.
Okay.
So it's okay to still think of it as a heads up class. Super Diesel is the next step beyond with a weight break to it, and it is heads up, and you rip it, and then Top Diesel is pro mods and pro dragsters running together, and that's been a new thing too, and I think some guys are not ready. But I am really looking forward to if everyone gets with the program as far as a dragster goes, we could have 10. There would be 10 cars out there running threes at 200 plus. How awesome would that be? I mean, it's just incredible to even think about it. We just need to get them out there.
Yeah. 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 I mean, it is a sport that we see growing, right? Is this drag racing side of the business that more and more guys are getting into it, more and more it seems to be really attracting people, as opposed to the sled pull side, which I hear from a lot of organizations around the country that they're struggling on bringing new people in or keeping people around. Do you have any commentary on that? Do you announce any sled
Yeah,
pulls anymore?
I still do a ton of sled pulling, and actually, this year, in addition to doing ODSS, they hired me to be the guy for NCPA and go to all their grand nationals. And
It's awesome.
on the sled pulling side, what I see the problem is they've fractionated themselves so bad. It's you got this rule over here and this rule over there, and this organization only lets you do something. So everything is so in your sandbox, and there's a reason for that in the sense that you can lock in a group of guys who are going to follow your tour within your region, but you can't travel anywhere.
Yeah,
The rules are not universal. They're so niche and so specific, and I think sled pulling has diluted themselves down so bad with that it's it's actually hurting the sport at this point.
I
You
agree.
can't just back off the ramps and go somewhere.
No.
They've screwed themselves. It's bad. I don't like it.
The amount of control that the clubs have instituted upon themselves and the lack of a national venue to really come up and be somewhere that people want to matriculate to, right? Like people should want to work towards getting into the national scene.
Sure.
But NTPA, I think their classes are so big, it's what's the smallest class that they run? 2.6?
Not even. Well, in the regional series, 3-0, the regionals is 3-0. So
Yeah.
that's your entry point, which that's not bad. Like I like the structure that the diesel specific speaking specifically to diesel trucks, the structure they've got 2.6 to go to 3.0 to go to 3.6 and then super stock. That's a good ladder. I do like that. That's
Yeah.
fine. But it has been, like I said, it's been so fractured across every organization where it's tough. If you're below 3.0, you're probably looking around going, I don't know what to do. I don't know where to go. I don't know what the hell. Where do I fit? You get to 3.0 and then you find, all right, everybody's on the same plane. We all get along, um, and it's a good thing. And I find the higher you progress within the ladder too, the egos stop too, right? Like
Yeah,
everybody starts getting along, everybody's cool, everybody's chill, like we all got the same goal in mind. We're going for something. Whereas if you go back down to work stock, I'm sorry, you're fighting with everyone and you're gonna hate life.
100%.
It's just I don't even want to be around y'all. It's you're obnoxious.
100%. I know locally they never tech work stock, which always causes a fight at the end of the work stock. So it's the biggest
Yeah,
class. It draws the most entries every time. Every pull I've ever been to, work stock always has the most amount of entries. Um, so often they don't tech the class,
yeah.
so everybody cheats, right? Twin turbo trucks and S400 trucks, and guys want to do all sorts of crazy stuff. And I'm like, well, why? Why? And usually the answer is because, well, there is no class for them, right? Like if you have a compound turbo kit, if you have most S300 singles, most S400 singles, you don't actually meet any of the other higher class requirements. But you make so much fucking power that it's not fair for you to compete with the work stock guys. So now what we're seeing a lot of stock turbo only, which
Yeah.
is maybe the most disappointing class I've ever seen. Nothing against them. I get it. I'm glad that they have a class for the truly stock turbo guys to compete with
It's
each other at.
it's boring as shit, but no one knows how to tech it either.
There you
What's a
go.
stock appearing?
There
You
you
pop
go.
your hood and who knows? That
That's
that that guy doesn't exist. That tech guy doesn't exist.
yeah.
Not at any event I go to.
Same here. Same here. This is why I'm like, I get why we made a stock turbo class, and then they're starting to just group up and say, okay, work
Yeah,
stock or stock appearing is anything from a drop in turbo that's truly factory frame all the way up to an S400. And it's like, well, then again is probably, we get into this. If you can hear my dog bark there, when we get into this, it does get a little chaotic with like, where do
yeah,
we go? I know I'm right here at Northern Illinois, so I'm right at the border of Wisconsin, pretty close to the border of Michigan, Indiana, and Iowa. So I'm like right there where you could go to all 5 states. You couldn't pull the same truck in all 5 states.
yeah. That's where I like a 2.6 or a 3.0 or a hard rule because it's real easy for the tech guy. You pop the hood, you shove the slug in there. If it fits, great. If not, fuck you, you're out. Done. It's super simple to tech and it's over. Right? It's so easy.
That's it. That's it. Um, I would say the other thing that I'm always surprised about in automotive on the diesel side is I always thought they could attract more people with bigger payouts. The gas world, when we
Yeah,
saw no prep hit the scene and blow up, and all of a sudden you had events in Texas that were $25,000 payout to the top winner, for no prep race. I was like, wow, I bet that attracted a lot of new people to come into the sport, right? Like a lot of people who maybe
sure.
were on the fence or maybe were on the purely amateur side. All of a sudden they hear about these big cash payouts and they get interested. Do you think there's an opportunity here in the future to see diesel start pulling in some bigger payouts? I mean, to my knowledge, UCC is the biggest payout. And when you have a $250,000 truck and probably a 6-figure budget to go to UCC, at least we'll say at least a 25 or $30,000 budget to cover the cost of going to UCC, a 50 or $60,000 payout, it's cool. It's the biggest in the industry, but it's not. It's you know what I mean. You're not covering your cost of anything, right? Like maybe you
No,
covered your cost of
no,
the
not
trip
even
for the
close.
weekend.
Not even
So
close.
do you think there's a change that could happen? What would need to happen to be able to pull in bigger payouts like that?
Yeah, I think there is a space for that, and it's going to take going forward. It's going to take some sponsorship to make it happen. But I guess it would be 2 weeks ago now, going out to Farley, Iowa, for NTPA's deal there, where the Simons were putting up a thing where it was $50,000 to win, 15,000 for third place, 10 for third, and seeing these men and women who have been around the sport their entire lives be so choked up and so emotional over getting it and winning it. Um, does it impact? You bet it does. That was life changing stuff for those competitors. But it was also funded by entry. The entry fee was steep to get in, so there was that part. So if you can bring in the sponsorship to make this happen where the pullers are not funding it themselves and you're not pulling into the venue and taking the money out of your own trailer and handing it to the guy next to you because he won and you didn't. It's coming from somewhere else where now everybody's got an even shot at it. Well, not that they didn't. I mean, it was the most tech event I've ever seen. It was legit, front, back, inside, outside. Like everybody was legit. If they won, you knew they won. They were legal. But to back to your point, I think that would be awesome. But it's going to take sponsorship, and so now it's how do we, as an industry, show value? How do we tell a potential sponsor that it's worth your money to be here doing this? And I've got plenty of thoughts on how to do that, but it's got to be tailored to them as a company and their product to open them up and say, here's your audience. Here's what we're going to do for you, and make this worth your while to spend that money to be here. And that's where the conversation needs to start. We've got to start having those conversations with prospect companies that are willing to advertise with us and then show them the value for doing so.
Yeah. I mean, if you think about other big professional payouts, right? Think about golf, for example.
Yeah.
FedEx, Rolex, Mercedes, like these are the companies that put up the dollars.
Yes.
It's not like, yes, there's Titleist, but like they're not the golf guys. They're not the indie industry guys. It's the
Yeah.
national huge brands that have huge marketing budgets that can afford to pay that stuff. I can't think of anybody inside of the diesel performance community, company wise, that's going to put up a six-figure payout. That's just, I mean, I would love to see it. I would love to see
Sure.
it.
Yeah.
But hitting these guys up for two nickels is sometimes tough. So like getting them to put up real money that's going to like change somebody's life, that just feels like a bit of a stretch at times. So I think you're
Yeah.
right though.
You're
I
right.
think it is pulling those sponsors in, right? How do we show them that there's value in this group? Like this group spends money. I mean, look at all the bad decisions financially that these guys make. There's not a single person sled pulling or drag racing that could look me in the eyes and say, I'm good. I make good financial decisions. You don't. You don't. And I love that about you, every one of you. Um, but it is funny to me that like, yeah, these guys, there's always kind of seemed to be that step behind, right? I think the gas world has figured this out pretty well. I think if you look around, there's a lot of gas events that do have the big payouts and have outside sponsorship dollars, right? Look at NASCAR, for example, at being the top of the top in the automotive, sponsorship dollar game. Um, but it's interesting to me to see, okay, well, we know this is possible, right? We know it's out there. I think it'll be a big game changer when we see people start doing it. Who's going to be that first company that figures it out? For a long time, we all thought Shides was the biggest diesel event on earth. It was. I mean, it
It
was.
was.
There was nothing bigger and badder. UCC came out to Indy that first year, and I think a lot of people changed their mind about what a big event was.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yep.
now here
I
we are
agree.
with UCC all these years later. I was just talking with somebody, and they were commenting on. I remember when UCC was about the competition and not about the sideshow attractions. That's paraphrasing. That's essentially what their point was. I
Fair.
said I agree. I
Fair.
don't know that one is better than the other though. Just to be honest, like I don't know that without the show and shine, and I fucking hate the burnout pit. I think it's the dumbest thing on earth. I love everybody who does it. It's not my thing. It's just I'm not
I
interested in
agree.
it.
I
Um,
agree.
I also don't like ice skating. I just doesn't tickle my fancy.
So yeah, so Feld Motorsports owns Monster Jam, Monster Trucks, and the Ice Capades, right? So like there's an ass for every seat.
Right, exactly.
You find a
Exactly.
thing. If it's figure skating or burnouts, great. If it's racing and dynos, great. We got a
Right.
spot for you.
Um, but I think that's the thing is I don't know that UCC could sustain without the quote unquote sideshow attractions, right? And I don't
Yeah.
say that condescendingly. I like a lot of the shit that they're doing around there. The fan dyno, one of the most genius innovations to bring to a
Yeah.
show I could think of where there's an actual excuse me, there's an actual dyno competition, and then you get let fans get out on their own dyno. Genius, absolute
Yeah.
genius. I love it. Um, ODSS being involved with the event now. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think it's too much distraction? Do you think it was
No, no,
no? You think it's well
no.
placed?
I was there when it moved to Indy, I was not part of the Utah event. But when it came to Indy, I was in on the ground floor for that. And those first years where it was just UCC were torture for me doing my job. For being an announcer, there was so much dead time. It was awful. It was the hardest thing I've ever done. And especially on Saturday when it was dyno only. And don't get me wrong, I loved what the early years of the dyno and the excitement of it, and everybody was so up on the edge and just really ripping and pushing the industry forward. But to do what I got to do and try to fill that time, awful. Having ODSS there, brilliant. It just made everything what felt like a 15-hour day now doesn't. It just goes by so quick. And having those guys there absolutely wouldn't change it at all. Not at all.
I totally remember exactly what you're talking about, Charles. To the point that my oldest co-host, Danny Voss, well, I'll give a shout out to Danny. It's been probably 10, 15 years since I've talked to him. Probably 10 years. Um, you were so desperate to fill time, you actually handed the
Yeah.
microphone to Danny Voss and let him talk. And that's something that nobody should ever do. Much love for you, Danny. But it was I do remember it being brutal. I mean, the amount of downtime, you
Yeah.
had 30 minutes for one truck to be on the dyno. And for a competitor, that sounds like not enough time. For an announcer, that
Oh, it's
that's a
awful.
fucking eternity. What do you want me to talk about for
Ever.
one truck for 30 minutes? One truck for 30 minutes. One team? Can I interview everybody on the team? No, they're all busy. None of them want to
Yeah.
talk to you while they're on the dyno. That's my favorite.
At the
None of them
19th
want to
minute,
talk to
we've
you.
already told you every torque spec of every bolt that's on the damn truck. We're out of shit to talk about. Like there's nothing left. It's bad.
Oh man. I will say it is nice. I think you're right. I think it's improved the event. I think it's improved the reasons to be in the seat. That's something else that I think they struggled with the first few years when it was just UCC. Um, Truck blows up on the dyno, everybody leaves the grandstands.
Yeah.
Truck oils down the track, everybody leaves the grandstands. The weather looks like it's shoddy, everybody leaves the grand. So like there was a lot of reason to not be actually out there watching the competition on Friday and Saturday. Pretty much anything could happen, and you would just watch the crowd. Like I remember standing out in the booth, right, working the booth, and the crowd would just all of a sudden flow into the whole, vendor rows, and then all of a sudden it would just empty, and it would just all kind of move at once. And now I'll tell you, I was there this year in the DHD booth for the first year, nonstop traffic for the vendors.
Yeah.
So the vendors pay a good amount of money to go and set up a booth and be there. They're really tight on who they let in. So they don't let in a bunch of guys selling tchotchkes. You don't see 20 different, you know, crap stands that just sell junk to kids. Like they really are. We want diesel related industry people in these booths.
The
Um,
experts.
yeah, yeah. And so like to be there and watch the traffic be steady the entire time, I thought that said really good things. I think that means that they're finding a good balance between having things that people who want to come there and watch the competition come there and watch the competition, but there's still enough going on outside of that you can't get bored. Like if you're at UCC,
Yeah.
there's something for everyone. You're going to have a good time.
I agree. It's the place. My son was in the booth with you for
Yeah,
a good part of the weekend, and I agree. Like it's an opportunity to be face to face with the pros. You can talk to Tony Burkhardt using DHD as an example and get your questions answered. You go over to SNS, you're gonna get the guy. You're gonna talk to the Langolier. You're gonna talk to the Michael Cordova. You go over to Exergy. You're gonna talk to the Jeff Hale. Whoever it is, you're gonna get the guy answering your questions about what you're trying to do. And if it's a fit, if they've got a product they can offer you, great. If not, they're gentlemen enough to also tell you, hey, you need to go down the road here and talk to this other guy because he's got something. Maybe I don't offer it. This guy does.
Yeah.
There's a camaraderie there that is not found, I don't think, anywhere else in the industry. And having that be a piece of the puzzle is important. Having ODSS be there as a part of the racing also shows you, hey, there's more to this industry than just the Instagram click. Like you can actually go race. You can go do if you got a helmet and a battery tie down and it's diesel, ET, come on, let's go. We want you there. We'll sell you the tech card, run it, and let's see what you got. And hopefully you get addicted.
Yeah.
That's what we really want.
Yeah, yeah, it is true. And it's like selling cigarettes to kids, man.
Yeah.
It's easy to do sometimes. And like, yeah, once it sets those hooks, you've seen it. You see these guys who have been in the industry for 25 years, like Tony and other guys who have been racing for even longer and sled pulling for even longer. It's wild to me. You've spent a lifetime at the track, whether it's the dirt or the pavement. You spent a lifetime out there competing. And a lot of times, I always talk about the money end of this, how I wish there was more money in it. But to be honest with you, these guys, they get tearful over a trophy. You know what I mean? Like they get tearful over just having the bragging rights to leave and walk and go home and say, I won. It means so much to them because they put so much into it and they know what it takes out of you. And I think that's something that we see at the sled pull side, to me, even more than on the drag race side. Drag racers seem to have a little bit better handle of like, something always breaks. Something's all I could always go a little
Sure.
bit faster. I could always get a little bit better time. Like I could always shave a little more weight. Like they're pretty open to that idea that the project is never over. Sled pullers, I think because you can't go test and tune with a sled pull. That's just not an option.
No.
Most events, you're going to get one hook. If you need to reset, okay, you drop it in like the first 100 feet or whatever. Sure, maybe you get first hook and you get to turn it down and pull a second hook of the night. But a large majority of the time, you're going to get one hook a night, and you're a crazy man if you do more than two hooks a week. And you're hardcore. You're deep into sled pull addiction if you're doing more than two hooks a week. Um, so I think for these guys, it's like you put so much time into building this truck. You spend so much just on the goddamn safety equipment. The safety equipment alone is an arm and a leg. And then you get out and you get to go 300 feet at 30 miles an hour. And if you don't win, that I think that frustration level is what I've seen build up to where like these guys are like, well, now what? Like I now have a truck that really isn't can be driven on the road, but like should I be driving it on the road with all this? I don't know,
Yeah.
Um, so it's interesting to me to see where the industry goes, where the guys have that crossover. I think it's something that you as an announcer, you're constantly seeing the carnage. How do you handle seeing that type of carnage? Is it something because I've seen announcers that like really want to lay into it. They want to go interview the guy what broke. They want to know the details. They want to make a big spectacle like the sled pull, like the actual pull operators, the sled operators who have the stamp on the side for the broken drive shafts and shit like that. I'm like, I think there's humor in it. I laugh at it, but I've also seen guys get straight up pissed about it. Like how do
Sure.
you handle seeing some of that carnage happen?
For me, having in the past worked in the industry and then also being, 25 years, I've been an announcer for 25 years. I have a tremendous amount of empathy for everyone who does this. I know you. I know you didn't sleep. I know you spent six figures. I know your wallet is empty. So there's empathy for you and what you're doing. And sure, there's the sensationalism aspect of it, and we need to talk about what happened because everyone saw it. But it doesn't mean that I can't also tell it in a way that, hey, I understand all you went through to get there. You might be hurt, whether it's financially, physically, emotionally, whatever. I can show that empathy for you as a human being and still champion you as a human being and a shop owner, a racer, and say, hey, this guy, busted his ass. Today didn't work out. It's a bad deal. Give him a round of applause because he earned it. And I've been there, throughout UCC all these years. There's photos of me underneath the truck at 4 o'clock in the morning helping somebody when I'm just the announcer. I'm not attached to this team, but I'm going to make sure in the morning they're going to be there, and I'm going to be able to tell their story because I was there with my hands in it. So I understand it. And there's a certain respect I think that comes from that, from the competitors toward me. They know that I'm invested in them doing a good job, and even if it's a bad day, I'm going to say it's a bad day, but I'm going to tell everybody, hey, understand what it took to get even here, and show some respect that okay, it sucked. They had a bad incident, but they're living their dream. They did what they could do, and just honor and respect that. Give them their due. Give them their due.
I think that's well said. I think that's a stand-up way to handle it, Charles. Charles, if people want to follow along and see where you're going to be at and check out some of your clips and your social media, where's the best place for them to follow?
It's my name, Charles Poosch on Facebook's probably the easiest way. I've got an Instagram, but beyond that, like I'm not a social media guy, quite honestly. If it weren't for this, I'd shut it all down. I don't want it. I don't like it. It's a pain in the ass. I really don't. I don't give a shit about any of it. But that's the easiest way to find me. And there's some good nuggets there. Got some photos that my daughter has taken over, kind of the handle of being the photographer in the family, because I just can't now that I'm holding the microphone so much, and she's really learned how to do it good. And we've got some UCC photos to get out there, and I still have photos from back in January at Cloverdale sled pull that I still owe everybody. I'm sorry, I'm way behind getting those out, but that's the easiest way.
Well, there you go, folks. If you want to see 6-month-old photos, Charles has got you set up.
At least.
Charles, thank you so much for joining us today. I really appreciate somebody who has so much insight and such a close beat on what's going on in the industry. Definitely, thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, awesome, man. I'm glad you hooked up with Tony and are part of Team DHD now. And if you can, we talked about it in the green room beforehand. If you can get up there 4th of July, it's a riot. It's a great time. We'd love to have you and hang out.
I love to hear it, man. Thank you so much. Listeners, viewers, as always, I am Paul Wilson here with Hooked on Diesel. Don't worry, we are going to get Tony back on co-hosting with me at some point. He just said he was going to skip
No, you
Charles.
won't.
He wasn't
No, you won't.
interested.
No, you won't.
I'm
No,
kidding,
no,
of
you won't.
course. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for following along. Like and subscribe wherever you're at. It helps me personally. So let's do it.